On Guam have always been a cornerstone of the island's culture. The participation for these activities is always astonishingly high for a place with such a small population. Sports have always played a ponderous position in the lives of the Chamorro people. The display of love and appreciation for sporting events is something we see being embedded into eternity. The people of Guam have taken a backseat in that journey, but there still have been times where Chamorro people were leading the way in showing appreciation for sports. Although most sports have not been around for long on Guam, most of them still have rich history in the island's roots. We wanted to take a dive into that history while highlighting the diplomatic approaches to some very popular debates. The sport of football has transcended the island throughout its time here. The love for football on Guam is astronomically gigantic. Arguably the biggest sporting event in the world, the Super Bowl, has been in conversation on whether or not it should be a holiday. Due to the small island's love for football being absurdly big, the Super Bowl was once made a national holiday. The time zone in Guam is 14 hours ahead of Eastern Time. So on the day of the Super Bowl, most people are watching it in the late afternoon and finish watching it late at night. It is completely opposite on Guam. Guam residents will watch the Super Bowl from early in the morning till it is time for lunch. Not to mention that it is on a school and work day, so naturally most of it skip out on the work day, and most schools essentially give all students the day off. However, in 2001, that decision did not have to be made by Guam residents. Since the island was not struck by typhoons as bad as in previous years, it was decided that the Super Bowl Monday would be a holiday island-wide. Super Bowl 35 was the game to be played that year between the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. Now, despite the island's deep love for football, the decision made by the Department of Education received a major amount of backlash. The people of Guam did not like the fact that makeup days were being wasted on such a trifling event. The reason for the negative reaction was because most Chamorro people are supporters of teams located in California, such as the San Francisco 49ers or the Oakland Raiders. The outcome of the game was not a satisfying one for average viewers, like the many people watching in Guam. The score was 34-7, with the Baltimore Ravens leaving as champions. After a harsh reaction from the public and the occurrence of what happened in the game, the Super Bowl is no longer made a holiday in Guam.
Baseball is said to be America's favorite pastime. The little U.S. territory where America's Day begins is no exception. Brought to the island by the Americans, it slowly but surely became the most popular sport on the island. An adult league was by the U.S. naval troops and later teams filled with Chamorro players. While some teams were mixed with Americans and Chamorros, the use of the native language of the Guam people was prohibited not only on the playing field but off it as well. It was ordered that Chamorro was not to be taught in schools and playgrounds. During the Japanese occupation in World War II, the playing of baseball was brought to a halt by the Japanese forces, as the Chamorro people were forced to work hard and grueling labor. Baseball legend Tun Charlie Perez, who lived through the war, recalled a time when he was told to stop working in the mines and play a game of baseball. Perez was one of the 9 Chamorros selected to participate in the game against the Japanese. According to Tony Palomo, a Guam historian, the Japanese challenged the locals to a game of baseball to prove they were superior in everything. Unfortunately for them, the locals came out victorious, beating the Japanese troops 13-3 to the memory of Tun Charlie Perez.
Running is seen as an exercise more than a sport, but to the people of Guam, running is a sport for everyone. The sport had a slow start in the claim to fame amongst the people of the island. Long before 5Ks were held weekly, the only forms of running competitions were track and field meets that did not gain many participants. So, competitive running was a rare sight to see. That was until 1970 when the Turkey Trot became the first organized race held on Guam. From there, the Guam Running Club, or GRC, was created. The GRC went on to create many different competitive races, such as a 1.5-mile fitness race at the infamous Paseo Stadium. After that, a 10-mile race called the Cross Island Race was held. Then, in 1972, Joe Lawson orchestrated the first ever Guam Marathon, which turned out to be a massive success. The Guam Marathon was the GRC's main event for a multitude of years. Joe Taitano was one of the island's best runners. He was challenged by Fred Shaman, a Japanese-American runner living on Guam. Although there have been many longer races put together by the running community of Guam, the 5K is the most popular race, starting off as fundraiser events orchestrated by organizations such as local sports teams and charities. 5Ks were held every weekend, which is still a common occurrence in the modern day. From being forced to learn a new language, to having missed an important day circled on the calendar, to a couple of races, Guam sports is still with the people and still standing strong. We see more and more of our local athletes take their talents to the professional stage, all thanks to the pioneers who helped light the ignition for these sports. Even though it took small stepping stones, they still managed to expand the playing field.